Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're well. Welcome back to day 3 of Goodwood. Morning, John. Lovely to see you here again. Thank you for joining once more. Morning, Pablo. Great to see that you managed to get a little bit of money coming in yesterday. Yesterday was a surprisingly tough day. There was a lot of competition going on, and we narrowly missed out in a couple of races on some quite high prices. Some of that was actually due to the way I personally structured my bet, although the selections, if in a couple of those races, if I'd gone for places or 80-20s instead of a Dutch, I would have made a profit on it. It's just how it goes. So we got the analysis right, and sometimes not quite the structure right. In a couple of races, obviously, we didn't find those strongest horses either. All in all, it wasn't too bad. I made a small loss yesterday. It was just over 1 unit, roughly, of stake. So not too bad. All in all, was saved by a couple of those bigger priced horses coming in later. Morning, John. Great to have you here over on Facebook. Will, hi. Nice to see you. Morning. Thomas, welcome. Thomas going on tip for today. I'm going to share that with everybody. Thomas, while we're there, while we're waiting for people to come in, this is Thomas's tip for today. Goodwood 110 Electric Lady, straight from Thomas over on YouTube. Thank you very, very much for sharing that today. And got another exciting day of racing. I am really looking forward to today. I'm just going to set up the screen here. I was planning today on actually trying to do this from outside since the weather is so beautiful, but I didn't quite get myself organized in time. So maybe tomorrow we'll do it. We'll do today. We'll do Goodwood from outside, possibly tomorrow. Just dropping them here, getting everything ready. If you're just coming in, welcome. Thank you for joining. Please do leave a message, say hi. Whether you're on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, you can leave a message by just putting something in that comment section below. If you're on YouTube, you're going to see over on this side of your screen, you're going to see a chat box. Please do get involved in the chat there. Yesterday, my chat froze for a little bit, so I wasn't sure what was going on. I've since spoken to our live streaming company, so I know what to do if that happens again today. Please do hit the like button, the thumbs up button, and the share button. Please do share this live stream with everybody you know. That'll be absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Morning, Paul. Thank you for coming. Hi, David. Thank you for joining over on YouTube. Pleased to hear that you had a 9-1 and a 3-1 winner yesterday, David. Absolutely superb. Who was that on? Please let me know which of those horses you were on. Morning, Urello Co. I hope I pronounced your name right. I do apologize if I didn't, but morning. Thank you for joining us today. If you're coming in, welcome. Please do leave a comment. Please do say hello. Please get involved in the conversation. Leave a comment if you're on Facebook. Leave a message in the chat if you're on YouTube. It'd be great to see you. I was just saying that I was hoping today to try and do this live stream from outside, but I didn't get myself quite organized in time. That's the reason for that is I had a lie-in. So today our children didn't wake up until 7:05. Woo! I know. So for a 2-year-old and a 3.5-year-old, that was late. Normally it's about 5:30, 6. So we're well up and well bed. But this morning they didn't wake up till just gone 7. So we were running a bit late, getting them off to nursery and getting everything going. So we're just going to wait a few more minutes for people to come in and come and join us while that's going on. And while we're waiting, I've got something pretty awesome to announce. I've also shared on my screen. Thomas came straight in today. Thank you, Thomas. Over on YouTube, came straight in today and said, morning, my tip for today at Goodwood is 110 Electric Lady. Let's see if we are going to agree with Thomas today. Hi, Michael. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining this morning. Joe over on Facebook. Great to see you here. Thank you for coming back again. Chris, good morning. William, good morning. Look, William, Thomas, you're not alone. William is also on Electric Lady and today in the 110. So looks like there is more than one person. Looks like this horse is going to be particularly popular. I specifically haven't looked at any races yet today. I do this straight off the cuff, so I'm not looking at any races, and that's just to show you how we go into some of these things. While we're still waiting for people to come in, look what arrived for me today this morning. This is the new Race Advisor Cup for a challenge that we haven't yet launched. It's going to be launching very soon, and the winner will get one of these absolutely stunning cups. I'm super pleased with it, and if you can take part in that challenge. Challenge is going to be completely free. It's going to be completely free. It's going to put us against each other. It's going to be on our Like Real Racing platform on Aldermist. It's only going to be 60 minutes long. It's going to be very easy to take part in, and the winner will get one of these beauties posted out to them saying that they smashed the Race Advisors Like Real Racing 60-minute challenge. So that's going to be coming up soon, not today, but I will give you more information on that and how we can take part in that challenge very soon. Welcome. If you're still coming in, thank you. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. Going to wait a couple more minutes till we get to 10 past 11 because I can still see people are coming in here over on YouTube and on Facebook. So we're going to give a couple more minutes and we're going to get started at 10 past 11. In there, please do say hi if you've just joined in. If you're on Facebook, leave a comment. That's effectively the chat on Facebook. The comments are basically the chat. If you're on YouTube, there is a chat messenger box on the right-hand side of your screen, kind of over here somewhere. So please do get involved in the chat here. Let me know who you like today at Goodwood. Let me know if you have any preferences for any runners that we're going. Let me know if you've got any questions on what I'm doing. And let me know whether you like who I'm going to be getting on as well. So yesterday was a tough day. We didn't do too badly, but I personally made a small loss of just over 1 unit, mainly due to bet structure. We did find most horses that, well, at least in most races, we found at least one of the horses that came into place, one of the horses that contended, but I didn't always get the structure of the bet quite right. That's just how it goes. Day one was a pretty good day, so we're still okay. Yes, David. Oh, you were on Mambo Nights and Toro Strike. David was on a 9-1 and a 3-1 yesterday after this live event, and he got that on Mambo Nights and Toro Strike. John, absolutely. John would like a cuppa in this beautiful new Race Advisor Cup. That you're only going to be able to get that cuppa, John, if you take part in the Like Real Racing competition that's coming up. The challenge, the 60-minute challenge, is going to be coming up. It's going to be. I'm going to send you over the date probably in the next week after Goodwood's over. I'm going to send you over the date for that 60-minute challenge. It's only 60 minutes. Absolutely, it costs nothing to join in, and it will will help you with your betting, with your strategy, and we will compete against each other in it to see who can win that awesome cup. So I'm really pleased with that cup. Hey, Philippe, lovely to have you join us. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hey, assistant surveyor. I'm assuming that's not your actual name, but I'm assuming you are an assistant surveyor and you're logged into your YouTube account with that. Okay, I'm just going to share that because you sent some wonderful tips there. So this is from assistant surveyor, whatever your name may be. I'm sure that is not your name. But your picks are 110 Caspian Queen, 145 Zabil Champion, 215 Yazaman, 245 Khalifa, 315 on Saturday, Deirdre, and 345 William Bly. So that's wonderful. As I say, I have not yet looked at today's racing, so I like to do this completely off the cuff so you can see how I'm looking, how my mind is thinking, and where I'm going and what I'm considering. If you have just joined us, welcome. Thank you very much. Please do hit the thumbs up or the like button on Facebook. If you're on Facebook and you haven't followed the Race Advisor, please do follow the Race Advisor. Hit the follow button on our page as well to make sure you get alerted to any other live events that are taking place. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. The YouTube channel is now constantly being updated. We're about to redesign it to make it easier to find some of the videos. I'm now putting up at least 2 videos every single month on YouTube, and we're going to, over the coming weeks, the coming months, we're going to get more and more of those as well. So we're going to start in just a second. Just before we get started, a few more people coming in. I'm just going to share some tips from those of you who are with us today. So this is from William over on Facebook. These are his selections for today. Take a quick look of those. Ray is in the 145 on Magnetized. Graham, welcome, Graham, over on YouTube. You missed yesterday, so I'm very pleased you could be able to join us today. Philippe is on Show Me at Goodwood. He thinks he's better than the bear form suggests. Had some issues, but has always been held in high regards by Richard Fahy. Okay, so let's get into today's races. Thank you very much for joining. If you have just joined, please do hit the share button. Share this on social media. Please share this live event with your friends. Tell other people about the Race Advisor and hit the like button, the thumbs up button, the smiley face button, whatever of the fancy emoticon buttons you happen to particularly like. Okay, so I've got this race card open here, but actually we want the 110. I was just checking out the draw bias today. So there we go. I got a draw impact value there. But we're going to come over to the standard race card, this 110, this handicap race. I don't know if Chris is with us today. Chris, who is with us a lot of the time, handicaps are his most favorite. So today we're going to jump in here. And also, we've just done an update on the Race Advisor Betfair odds. They're now updating even faster. So they're getting much, much faster updates now on the Betfair odds, which is absolutely brilliant. That happened yesterday, just after the live event. So we always got new features coming in here. Okay, so here's this race. It's a flat turf class 3 race on good ground, 5 furlongs. I love a sprint race. You know I love a sprint race. So I'm going to do this. First of all, I'm just going to do the Monte Carlo simulation, and then I'm going to look at the speed graphs for this race. So let me just start by running that simulation. And you can see I'm just doing a standard simulation here. As I mentioned, William over in the community, in the forum, is running an awesome idea. I said this yesterday on the simulations, where he narrows down the field based on a simulation, and then he runs another simulation, narrows it down again, runs another simulation to find the horses that he is most interested in. Okay, so this simulation is going to be finished in a minute. Then we're going to jump in. Today's live event is going to be probably around an hour and a half. I'm going to try and have us finished by 12:30. I know I overrun. That is my frequent timekeeping issue. Holly would say that is my general timekeeping issue. Timekeeping is not my something I'm very well known for in my family. But I will do my best to try and keep us to 12:30 today. I'll get all the races done in that time. Okay, so that's that simulation finished there. If I just click on that symbol, and I'll bring back up. So after the simulation is finished, we need to go back in to actually see the horses that were the best. So I'm sorting in order, of course. We can see Electric Ladyland. A lot of you have already said you love this horse. Please tell me what you love about this horse the most. So interestingly, under Electric Ladyland, you'll see this small figure, 1.02 here in green, and then 1.05. This is an impact value. This is telling us that based on the current odds, based on the simulation we've just done, this horse has a potential value in the market. It has potentially a positive edge in the market. Obviously, this is just one particular angle, one particular way of looking at them. But we got these 3 horses here that are all looking strong based on that. Electric Ladyland, Baumau, and Glamorous Anna. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that. I'm going to highlight these. Electric Ladyland, Glamorous Anna, and Baumau down there. But next, I'm going to jump straight over into the speed graphs. This is a 5 furlong race. This is a short race. This is a sprint. This is a race, the type of race that I absolutely love, 1,100 yards. So over here, we've got the speed graph up here. Coming into the dynamic filter, it's 1,100 yards. So I'm going to push that up to 1,300, but I'm really, really only interested in the sprint races here. So that's keeping it just under 6 furlongs. So 1,300 yards is just under 6 furlongs, and we can see that actually there's a lot of horses here with races. What I didn't do was I didn't set the ground conditions or the actual race stop. So I'm going to go back and do that. The ground conditions today are good, possibly good to firm. So I'm just going to put those 2 in there. So here we go. We've got a nice picture. We've got some races back here, back in 2019. But most of these horses have raced recently. Now, I'm not going to zoom in too much. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this full screen so it's easier for you to see. So there we go. We got full screen. So based just on that filter, you'll see next to each horse, we have a number. This is a dynamic speed figure projection. So this is the average, effectively, this is the average speed figure that the horse has had over the conditions we've set in that filter. I just set flat turf, good to firm ground condition up to 1,300. And now we've got an average kind of speed for each of these horses. And we can see that over these specific conditions, Caspian Queen down here, this orange horse, has the highest by far. Very close to then coming back in is Show Me and Baumau. And coming behind Show Me and Baumau, we've then got Glamorous Anna and Flipper the Stripper. Electric Ladyland and Hand on My Heart are a little bit further behind, but again, kind of up there. So looking at the graphs, here's what we can see. First of all, New York State of Mind here is not looking too great. So I'm just going to remove New York State of Mind. We've also got this horse here, this red line, Hand on My Heart. Again, nothing there looking particularly promising. Let's remove Hand on My Heart. Okay, so now of the rest, we've got, they're all sort of grouped up here, but we've got a couple low up here. So Baumau, and next to Baumau, 2 races for Baumau down here. Again, neither looking particularly great. So I'm going to remove Baumau. Okay, and so now we're starting to see a slightly smaller field. Over here we have a horse, Flipper the Stripper here, 2019 July 31st at Goodwood Class 2, and we can see that on the same day was Show Me, who put in a better speed rating there. So assuming that's just one horse, we've not got anything recently for this horse under the conditions we've set. So I'm just going to remove Flipper the Stripper as well for the time being, just to clear that ground a little bit. Now we're starting to get a nice picture here. Up here we have Glamorous Anna, who has been consistent, and then the last couple of races, bang, came straight in. And that last race at Windsor on the 20th of July came first, put in a very, very good speed figure. So that's great. And we've got these bars either side. I've gone through those before. If you want to know what they are upper and lower confidence levels. You don't need to worry about those too much. That's more of an advanced technique. But if you want to know about that, please do ask, and I'll let you know about that towards the end of this live event. So Glamorous Anna's looking really, really strong up there. Down here in the middle, we've got Show Me, who's looking competitive. But Electric Ladyland, the horse a lot of you like, is also looking positive. And again, look at this improvement. We've been seeing steady improvement. So if that horse continues to improve, if that trajectory continues, then that horse definitely can compete along with Glamorous Anna. Spanish Angel had a bit of a decline on the last race, but seems to be fairly consistent at this race. We'll probably need to put in a better race to actually win today. So then in the middle, we got Caspian Queen and Show Me. So here we are. We've got Show Me looking fairly consistent, along with Caspian Queen looking fairly consistent. Glamorous Anna looks very, very promising, as does Electric Ladyland. So let's jump back over to the race card. Glamorous Anna, Electric Ladyland, and actually that confirms two of them here. Baumau, I'm going to potentially remove, although look at those finish positions there. That's very, very strong. But now I'm going to sort in order of Betfair odds to see what we've got. We've got no huge rank outsiders in this race, so we're going to move on from there. I'm going to go to the 5278. That's a summary. 52 to 78% of the horses in the top four, 1, 2, 3, 4, for all this rating, will win a race. And as we can see here, Electric Ladyland's at the top. Glamorous Anna, not so great down here. So that's a little bit of a negative against Glamorous Anna there. Not so great, but has been performing very, very well recently. If we rank by speed figure, and don't forget, this is a speed race. This is going to be a speed race. Baumau's at the top, then Glamorous Anna, then Electric Ladyland. And this is speed figure from the last race adjusted for today. If we look at the best ever speed figure, it's Glamorous Anna, Baumau, Electric Ladyland. So we're seeing these three horses. Baumau, we already had a little bit of a concern about previously on the graphs, but we're seeing some extra strengths here. Okay, I'm going to sort by the PR odds as well. So we've got Caspian Queen and Show Me sitting in here, followed by Baumau at the bottom, third, Electric Ladyland. Glamorous Anna is coming down a little bit here. And if I bring up that Monte Carlo simulation again, just to remind ourselves of the order of the horses, we'll see Glamorous Anna was kind of third there from the top as well. So while it's looking very strong in those graphs, there might be a little bit of concern, and we can see possibly this horse doesn't like to win. Based on those finish positions, won the last race, placed the South race, looks like it's placed a lot. We're going to have a very quick look at that in just a second. I'm going to look at VDW as well, because the VDW place score up here is 100%. That's strong. So, and we can see here the top four horses: Electric Ladybird, Spanish Angel, Caspian Queen, Baumau. Again, Electric Ladybird and Baumau sitting in there. That's the second time we've had Caspian Queen, so we can't ignore Caspian Queen as a threat. Or I think that's actually the second time we had Spanish Angel as well. So we can't ignore either of those as a threat. Our PR odds, this is our tissue line. This is where we calculate our probabilities. Actually got Caspian Queen being strong, a very strong horse in this race. And Show Me as well. New York State of Mind, however, whilst being a contender, I think we can probably skip in this race based on the odds, and based on so far, nothing has come up for that horse. So we've got Electric Ladyland, Baumau looking good. Glamorous Anna a possibility, but maybe a place chances. Caspian Queen, Spanish Angel likely to be threats. The last thing I'm going to look at now is the pace, predicted to be fast in this race, most often won by early presses and mid-pack horses. But a closer can sometimes get it. If there's a lot of leaders, they're going to run each other ragged. And we can see here, Glamorous Anna, Electric Lady, Bird and Baumau. These horses are all possible leaders in this race, but Glamorous Anna is actually looking to have the strongest lead. So Glamorous Anna may actually, if Glamorous Anna can come out, get that pace, get ahead of the others and not be burned out by Electric Ladyland and Baumau, has definitely got that potential there. And I would imagine that it's going to hinge on that. It's going to be key on that. Otherwise, we're looking at Electric Ladyland, Baumau, Spanish Angel, from a pace purely perspective, likely to be the next most likely horses from a pace perspective. Spanish Angel has got a lot lower pace than the others, so that's a bit of a drop. So more likely Electric Ladyland and Baumau there. Okay, now I'm going to jump quickly into the horses' form. So let's just have a very, very quick look at the form. So I'm going to bring you back over here, look at the horse's form. So first of all, we're going to start with Glamorous Anna. We can see won the last race. We know that race was good. Was carrying 9 stone in that weight, in that race. That's the same the horse is carrying today. The horse is officially declared to carry 9.3, but there's a jockey allowance of £3 for this runner. So it's carrying the same weight today as it was in the last race, and it's the same jockey. So last race it won, but only by 0.05 of a length. So it just managed to hold on. The previous race at Windsor, that was a 7k race, and today's race is kind of 9.5k. So it's similar, good to firm ground. The previous race at 5k came second, but again only by a short distance, just by 0.2 of a length. It hit a rail in that race, so potentially actually could have won that race, but hit the rail. Previous to that, 5 furlongs, didn't perform well, came 6 out of 6 positions. Nothing specific there, just weakened over the 5 furlongs, weakened over the 6 furlongs. So we're just scrolling down here. These were standard slow. Coming down a bit further, back into last year, there was no extra final. That 6 furlongs is obviously a little bit too long. So it looks like this horse is on form. It looks like it's been running very well. Ran very well in June. Ran very well 10 days ago in July. So has definitely got potential today. Now let's go to the one that you all like, Electric Ladyland. Let's see what we've got with Electric Ladyland. So Electric Ladyland won last time out, Windsor in a 10k race. Good to firm ground. Comfortable win, half a length. Won nicely. Previous to that, good to soft, didn't do very well. Just weakened. That could have been the ground. I should note that it was carrying 8 stone 13 pounds. Today, Electric Ladyland is carrying 9 stone 7 pounds. So a significant increase in weight there for Electric Ladyland today. However, we saw from the speed graphs with the speed figures, and that takes into account weight. This horse is still on an upwards trajectory. The speed is still strong. So we can still expect that speed to be strong today in today's race. Didn't do well in that one, but coming back onto good ground, did well, just prevailed, only one, just was hard pressed at Goodwood last time. So definitely a threat, can definitely perform, and one to seriously consider today. Then we have Baumau. Let's jump down here to Baumau. Look at these last wins. 3K, 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 3K. So lower class than today. Very similar conditions. Most of them, the horse was carrying 9.3, 9.11. Today, Baumau is only carrying 8 stone 1 pound. There's a jockey allowance of £5, so it's officially declared to carry 8 stone 6. But with a jockey allowance of £5 for George Rook, we're down to 8 stone 1 pound. Now, notice George Rook not ridden this horse before. That's something to consider as well. So that potentially could go against this horse a bit. Horse can obviously win. Obviously, as a runner, likes the ground conditions. So definitely a threat today. But there is a rising class. There is a new jockey. So that's a couple of things to bear in mind there. And finally, we're going to have a look at Spanish Angel before we jump over to the market and see what's kind of going on over there. So Spanish Angel, we've got 5 furlongs here. Good to firm, came third, carrying 8.6 in these races, carrying 8.11 today. No jockey allowance for Spanish Angel, so just carrying 8.11 today. Came third, 2.75 lengths behind the winner. Came first, just managed to take it there. 7k race, 5k race. Didn't perform so well in the 10k race, similar to today's race. This was the longer and was beaten. And coming back down here, we've got good headway again, soon ridden now. So all looking fairly promising, all again saying this horse can contend. This horse has strength, but probably not so good as some of the others that we've looked at, particularly Electric Ladyland and Glamorous Anna. Those two for me are probably the strongest. I'd say Baumau definitely has some potential there as well. Likes the wins, but we've got a few things to contend with. Just coming quickly back to refresh my mind on Glamorous Anna. Glamorous Anna's got this jockey allowance, which is going to potentially give it a small edge. The race is short though, so we can see that that horse has performed recently. So, okay, let's jump over to the markets and see what's going on in the market. So we've got Caspian Queen currently the favourite, Spanish Angel second. Well, actually, they're joint favourites now. They're just coming to joint favourites, 5.8s for both. Electric Ladyland just behind, then Baumau, Show Me, and then Glamorous Anna coming in at 9-1 currently. Okay, so that's quite interesting. I'm particularly keen on Electric Ladyland and Glamorous Anna. Baumau, I think, has potential. And Spanish Angel, I think, has potential, but possibly not at those odds. Let's take a look at the place markets. Okay, so we've got the standard place market, 3 to place here. Electric Ladyland 2.38, Glamorous Anna 3.15, both pretty strong. Let's look at the 4 place market. Electric Ladyland 1.81, that's starting to get a little bit short, and Glamorous Anna 2.3. So I quite like both of these horses. I quite like them. I'm probably going to be looking at them for 80-20 bets. And what I'm considering here is probably doing an 80-20 bet on Glamorous Anna in the 4 place market and an 80-20 bet on Electric Ladyland in the 3 place market. So I'm going to jump over quickly now to the chat, see who you're betting on. Please do let me know if you haven't done it yet. I'm coming over quickly to those chats. Welcome to everybody who's joined us. I can see we've had about another 15-20 people come on. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining today. Please do hit the thumbs up, share it while you're watching with other people if you think they're going to like going through today's Goodwood races. So we've got here Robin over on YouTube is with Caspian Queen. So is John. We know a lot of you are already interested in Electric Ladyland. Caspian Queen is also very popular here. Baumau for Wee Whiskey Dram over on YouTube. Wee Whiskey Dram. I assume you love whiskey. I love whiskey myself. Let me know what your favorite whiskey is. Vector Official is on saying Holly Doyle rode both its wins lately. Philippe is on Ladyland hacking away due to the drop in class. Robin thinks Caspian Queen, and Liam is on Yazaman. That's in another race today. So right, so for this race, this is how. Please do let me know who you're betting on today. Let me know which your favorite horses are. Put that into the chat. Leave that in the comment, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Drop that in. Please let me know. So here's what I'm going to do on this race for me. I'm going to be going on Electric Ladyland in the 3 place market. I'm going to be doing stakes to £25 in every single race. That's a standard stake. It's a fun bet. The festival bets, the way I bet in festivals is I have a bankroll that lasts the entire period of the festival, Tuesday to Saturday. And then take that bankroll, I divide it by the 5 days of the festival to give me a stake for each day. And then each day I divide that total daily bankroll by the number of races, and that allows me to have a bet in each race. I know exactly how much I am putting into the bankroll for the festival, because we know festivals are good fun, they're entertainment. We want to try and bet in every race, but that's not the way that we go about making a long-term profit or doing sustainable long-term horse racing betting. So we do that just for festivals, and to do that we limit our restriction, we limit our bankroll specifically for festivals so that we can enjoy what's going on. And then I stake that amount on every race. Any profit that comes out goes straight back into my pocket, and either at the end of the day we walk away with a profit or a small loss. And that's how it goes. And most of the time we can walk away with a small profit or break even, and sometimes we get those festivals where we walk away with a great profit. So for me, I'm going to be doing the fun bets of 25 quid on each race, and Electric Ladyland I'm going to be doing in the 3 place market, 80-20 each way, so 80% in the place market, 20% in the win market. I'm also going to do that on Glamorous Anna as well, 4 place market. So to do that, I'm going to be putting £10 in that place market there, and I'm going to be dropping £10 on Glamorous Anna in this place market here. And then I'm coming to the win market, and we're just going to be putting £2.50 on each of those runners there, like that. Okay, so to show how that structure works out, so if, if either of those win, we're going to have a nice profit. At the least, we're going to have Electric Ladybird with £11 profit, and then we'll also get the place profit of £14. So it's going to be like a £25 profit. So it's going to be a 100% return if Electric Ladyland wins. If Electric Ladyland places, we're going to get the £14 there. So there's going to be a small loss of kind of about 60p. If Electric Ladyland only places and neither of the other horse, Glamorous Anna, doesn't come anywhere. If Glamorous Anna only places, is going to be a slightly bigger loss of around £4. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for one of these horses, or either both the horses to place, or one of them to win to push us up. But effectively, I've got a saver bet going on here, so I'm not losing the entire stake if one of them doesn't, and Spanish Angel or Caspian Queen or Baumau kind of come in to take the race and pushes them out. So we've got that saver going on there. Okay, that's wonderful. That's the 110 at Goodwood. Let's move on. I'm just going to jump quickly over to the comments while we load that page. Let's move on. So Philippe is on Electric Ladyland and Show Me. Winston is going with Electric Ladyland. David, Caspian Queen, and Pablo, Baumau or Spanish Angel, but can't decide. I agree, Pablo. That's a difficult decision. I think personally, for me, probably Spanish Angel, but it could be difficult. You could touch them. That's another possibility as well. Don't forget that. So always look at different ways that we can structure the bet to reduce the risk. We're all about reducing risk. We want to try and reduce our risk as much as possible. Reduce the risk, get as many winners as we can, and then still aim to obviously walk away with that profit. Okay, we're going to jump into the next race now. So as I jump into that race, please do let me know who you are going for in the 145 handicap at Goodwood today. It's a Class 2 race. Good ground, 1 mile, 1 furlong, 12 runners with prize money just over £18,500. So how are we going to do this race? Let's do it a bit differently. And do you know what? I'm going to take into account, we'll do that at the end. I'm going to take into account draw bias at the end in this race. So I'm going to do this race slightly differently. We've got more runners and we've got some high odds horses. So let's strip those high odds horses out. They're not for me. They might be for you. They're not for me. I don't like betting above 29 to 1. They win. Those horses do win, but they just don't win often enough for me to personally want to bet on them. So I've sorted the race card by Betfair odds. And now I'm just doing the cross sign next to each of those horses above 29 to 1 to eliminate them. They drop down here. We can see we've already got one non-runner down here that's been automatically removed, Group 1 Power, and we've got the other 3 horses that we've just removed underneath. I can bring any of these back if I change my mind later on. Next, I'm going to use the PR odds. So I'm going to sort by PR odds. I'm going to highlight the top 4 in the race. Oh, I didn't mean to open that. Top 4 in the race, keeping it nice and simple here. Then I'm going to sort by 5, 2, 7, 8. And we can see that Luigi Vampa and Magical Morning are both linked in that top 4. Luigi Vampa and Magical Morning. Further down, I've got Magnetized and Starcat. So that's making them a little bit weaker. But Luigi Vampa and Magical Morning are in the 5, 2, 7, 8 top 4. Both slightly higher odds there as well. And I'm just going to walk along now like this. 321 days since Luigi Vampa had a good race. I'm going to eliminate that horse because that's just too little for me to really want in a race that's going to be so competitive. So that one's gone. That puts Magical Morning as so far the strongest, but we can't ignore Bright Melody and Zabil Champion. They're in that top 4 as well. Further down here, we've got Magnetized and Starcat. Starcat hasn't had a good race for 232 days. That's on the cusp of being a little bit too long. I'm going to leave it highlighted for the minute. I'm going to see if there's anything else negative against that horse. Next, I'm going to look at good races in the last 10. So I want to sort that from high to low. GRL 10, good races in the last 10 races. So we can see Lutanda here has had 5. Zabil Champion has had 4. Coming down to Celtic Guard has had 3. And actually, all of the horses we've highlighted are amongst the worst for good races in the last 10. Nothing particularly strong there. But I do notice that Zabil Champion and Bright Melody, those were the 2 horses that were number 1 and number 4 in our 5, 2, 7, 8 rating, are kind of in there. So I'm going to bring them in. Magnetized and Starcat are kind of lower again. So I'm going to take those out for the moment. Okay, next I'm going to sort by PFP. This is a collateral form rating on the standard race card, a collateral form rating. I'm going to sort it by PFP, and we can see here on this collateral form, Zabeel Champion is back up there, and we see Lucanda is also back up there as well. So that's also something to bear in mind there. Next, finally, I'm going to look at this speed figure. This is the best ever speed figure for today's race type. So this just gives us an idea of where the horse has been and how good they have been. And Zabeel Champion is up here, as is Magical Morning. Celtic Art keeps dropping in there in the middle. And then we come down to Lucanda, Bright Melody, and then we drop right off. We want to look at the disparity between the ratings. So we can see actually 129 to 121, and then we got a big drop here down to 114, and another big drop to 88, and then back down here. Our Salt, very poor. Okay, so we've got 4 horses here now. Celtic Art keeps kind of coming in. So what are we going to do next? How are we going to look at this next? So next, I'm actually going to use a different race card. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open my overview race card. First of all, I'm just going to have a look at a few more factors. And I'm going to look at the competitive ratings. So these ratings, these competitive ratings tell us the average competitive level of a horse based on different pieces of information. So the first one here that I'm looking at with the 3,000, that's a form-based one. So that puts Magical Morning way, way above the L's for competitiveness, followed by Zabeel Champion, and then so a big drop to Zabeel Champion, and then another big drop to Lucanda. But notice we haven't been able to score Bright Melody for this. So that isn't one to remove. That's definitely still a threat there. But I'm starting to kind of lose positivity for Lucanda a little bit. If I do it by the next one along, that this is the same. It's an average competitive rating. It tells us the same thing, but this time we're measuring it from speed. And notice again, Zabeel Champion, Magical Morning are both up there as well. Zabeel Champion slightly taking the edge on the speed perspective to Magical Morning, who was taking the edge on the form perspective. And then we're dropping back down to Lucanda. And again, Bright Melody, we haven't been able to calculate this for. So this is giving me more confidence for Zabeel and Magical Morning. And coming over here, let's have a quick look at speed figures, average speed figure on the ground. And again, we got Magical Morning, Bright Melody is then dropping in, but Zabeel Champion still middle of the field here, still got possibility for speed in this race. And remember, this is 1 mile, 1 furlong, so we're not all about speed. We're not purely about speed in this race, and that's we've got to remember that. And then Lucanda again is kind of dropping in, so I'm actually going to remove Lucanda. So we're down to 3 now, down to 3. Then I'm just going to have a quick glance. I'm not going to go into the horse's form in this particular race. I'm going to have a quick glance at DSLW. This is the number of days since a horse last won a race. We've looked at how long it's been since a horse last had a good race. Now, how long has it been since a horse last won a race? And there's a difference, because if a horse has had a good race, it's definitely got potential to contend. Possibly it likes to place, finish in one of the positions. Let's see if they like to win. And we can see here, Bright Melody hasn't won a race for a long time. So possibly this comes into our bet structure. Possibly we don't want to bet on this horse to win. If we're going to bet on this horse, maybe we want to bet on it to place, or maybe even extra places, depending on how it goes. We can see here that as well with the horse personal strike rates, Zabeel Champion has a 60% strike rate and Magical Morning has a 50% strike rate. And now the last thing I'm going to look at is I'm just going to look at these scores here. We're called PFP PLR 1, 2, 3, 4. So what this means is PFP is our post-form pro rating. That's a form-based rating, collateral form rating. Very powerful. Starts at 1,500 for each horse. They get that at the beginning of their career. And then we add a few points and we drop a few points after every race, dependent on how that horse performs, how the other horses perform, and who the other horses have raced against, so the class of the other horses. We want to see a consistent improvement, and we've got that here with Zabeel Champion. Last race 3, second last race just under 5, a bit of a drop here, third last race 3.4, and then back up again to just over 5.5. Magical Morning, not quite so fluid last race here, and we can confirm that because it came 5th in the last race. So a bit of a loss of points there before 1.36, 4.55, 4.12. So not quite so fluid as Zabeel Champion. But still looking good. Bright Melody then coming in here with not so good in the last race and then kind of continuing. So this is kind of giving me the overview that actually for me, Zabeel Champion is probably going to be the horse that we want to be beating in this particular race. Magical Morning's definitely got contention. Bright Melody may have something going on. So shall we now jump over to the market and see what's going on over there? And then I'd love to know your thoughts on this race. Who do you like? Who do you not like? Please let me know. The other thing I did say I was going to do in this race at the end was going to have a quick look at the draw bias. So let's have a quick look at the draw bias. So I opened that draw bias. I just added the draw bias to a different race card. On the Race Advisor, if you aren't yet a pro member, you can go and create your account at www.raceadvisor.co.uk. Go over there now, create your account. You can add as many ratings as you want to a race card. I just put this draw impact value onto a separate race card yesterday to show everybody how we added ratings to a race card. You are given the standard race card by default, and then you can create as many race cards as you want with as many ratings or as few ratings on as you want. I generally tend to recommend between 5 and 10 ratings. That is enough for a race card. You can actually do very well with just a handful of ratings, even 2 or 3. You can actually do very well with. So don't go overboard with too many ratings. More isn't always better. It's just find the ones that work for you, that you are happy with, that you understand. And any questions on them, please just fire away. So the draw impact value, before I come over and see who you are going to be betting on in the 145 handicap, let's just have a look at this. So impact values work by 1 is good. Anything that is 0 currently, we're gonna change the display very slightly, but 0 means we haven't been able to calculate an impact value for that horse in this race. We're actually going to change that so it doesn't display a figure at all to make it clearer. So 1 means there is no advantage. Less than 1 means there is a negative to being in that stall, and a greater than 1 means there is a positive to being in that stall. So we can see here, Magnetized is going to be in a very strong stall here. Celtic Art a bit behind, and then obviously Magical Morning and Zabeel Champion, we haven't been able to calculate for that stall. That's a 0. So Magical Morning possibly got a slight negative on the stall, and Bright Melody looks to be in a really bad stall today in this race. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to the market. I'm going to open that market up here. While that's opening, I'm going to jump over to the chat to see who's there. And I can see we've had yet another 15, 20 people come in. If you've come in while I've been going through the 145, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, Michael Wilding, today with the Race Advisor to go through the Goodwood race card today, day 3 of Goodwood. It's going to be a great day. The weather is beautiful, and we're going to have an absolutely wonderful day. It's going to be a fantastic day of racing. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt. If you have joined us, please do hit the like button if you're on Facebook. Follow if you're on Facebook and you're not already following the Race Advisor. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button to subscribe to YouTube. You can join in by leaving a comment on YouTube in the chat box on the right-hand side over here of your screen. If you're on Facebook, leave a comment underneath. That works like a chat. Please do share as well. Hit the share buttons. Let other people know about this live stream, about the Race Advisor, and share that you're enjoying what we're doing today. Thank you very much. Do hit those like buttons, those thumbs up, and leave me any messages. So coming in here, just scrolling back up, there's been so much discussion going on. It's absolutely wonderful. It's fabulous to see who you're going on. I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to look at the market for this race. So we have John over on YouTube is going to wait to see what the odds movements are. Darren on Facebook is for Zabeel Champion. Pablo, Zabeel. Wee Whiskey Dram, Zabeel. Liam, Owl Salt. So we got a lot of popularity here for Zabeel. Robin's going a bit different over on YouTube. He's doing an 80-20 on Magnetized and Owl Salt, but just going for the 2 places. Philip, Facebook is on Zabeel. Celtic Art with John. John is on Celtic Art, who Graham is also on Celtic Art. But there's a lot of Zabeel Champion here, very popular. Philippe is also on Zabeel Champion, Magical Morning, and Luigi Van Pand. Okay, and Liam down there is saying that Haggis looks like he has a lot of chances today, and he wouldn't write off. So I'm going to drop that on your screen so you can see what Liam's saying there about Haggis. You'll all know, if you follow me for any time, you'll know I do not generally follow trainers or jockeys. I am focused on the horse. That's my preference. That's not to say you can't make a lot of profit off trainers and jockeys. You absolutely can. I know a number of people who do very well by, in fact, primarily only looking at trainers and jockeys and very briefly looking at the horses. I work the other way. I like to look at the horses. I like to understand the horses rather than the people. But either way can work. But I've dropped that up there from Liam so you can see his thought on Haggis today. So now coming back to the market, let's jump into the market here. So at the moment, Magnetized is the current favourite. Zabeel Champion sitting just behind. Then Al Saw. A few of you like Al Saw. Magical Morning is then coming in. There weren't many of you who agreed with me on Magical Morning. Then Starcat, and then we jump in the odds to Bright Melody, Luigi Vampa, Celtic Art, and then we jump again to Lucanda, and then we got the outsiders after that. For me, Zabeel Champion, Magical Morning. I think Magical Morning here is actually way overpriced. I think there's definitely possibility for Magical Morning, but the draw possibly not going to go great for it. So for me, Zabeel Champion is the one that I like in this race. I'm going to go safe. I'm going to check the markets here. You can, of course, do place spots. You can do AVBs. You can do forecasts as well. Don't forget those. Just because they're not currently showing up on Betfair doesn't mean that you can't get those with the bookmakers. If the bookmaker are offering you free bets, value bets, special markets, take advantage of them. If they're giving you an edge, take the edge that you can get. Just make sure you read the terms and conditions in detail first so you know what the conditions of that market or that particular free bet or that offer is before you do it. So 2.14 in the three-place market for Zabeel. So that works absolutely fine. If we would put £20 in there, you can see we make £22 back if the horse came in the top three. If we jump to the four-place market, 1.77. The Dutch would the 80-20 would still work in that race. But for me, if Zabeel's going to perform well in this race, it's going to come in the top three. So I'm going to go for the 80-20 on Zabeel in the top three here. So I'm going to do the £20 on the place there for Zabeel, and I'm going to come over to the win, and we're going to do the £5 from that stake on the win. So if Zabeel comes in the top three, we make a decent profit. If the horse comes for a win, we're going to make nearly 100% return. So that's how I am structuring the bet. That is not the only way to structure a bet in this race. Some other ways you could do it is you could Dutch, Magical Morning, Zabeel. If you like Magnetized as well, I know a few of you like Magnetized. You could also possibly throw Magnetized in there. You could do a place on all of them. You could lay, if you don't like Magnetized but you like a number of the others, you could lay Magnetized as well to have the rest of the field running for you instead, and you just lay the liability that you have when you lay is the same as your stake. So if your stake size is £25, you would lay to a maximum risk of £25. That's known as a liability, the maximum liability of £25. So don't forget, if we've got a lot of horses, we're not sure, but we really don't like the favourite or we really don't like the second favourite, we can always lay that horse rather than trying to Dutch bet all of the others. And don't forget, you can also lay in the place market. So if you think a horse really hasn't got a good chance of winning, then you can lay in the place market. So for example, you might be like, well, Starcat didn't show up for me at all, really. 2.32 in the fourth place market might be a good lay. So don't forget, you can also lay in the place market as well. Structuring the bet, as we saw yesterday, where actually the analysis that we did was great. We were on pretty much every single race. We had one of the strongest contenders. I think there was maybe one, possibly two, I can't remember off the top of my head, races where we didn't get a horse that placed in our contender list. But the way I personally structured my bets throughout the day meant I made a small kind of a 1 unit loss yesterday. If I'd structured them differently, could have made a profit. So bet structure is so important, and when you do it, you've got to take into account of the risk that you are taking, whether you want higher or lower risk, and the chances that you think each horse has on winning in comparison to the odds available. Okay, right, so we're going to jump back now over to the next race. And before I jump that, there's been some great comments that have come in as well. We've got people Dutching, Robin's Dutching, Philippe saying Haggis never warns before he wins a race. Philippe definitely likes Haggis, and David over on YouTube is going to be on Zabeel Champion with me. So let's hope Zabeel Champion comes in. There's a lot of us today who like Zabeel Champion. We're going to be on Zabeel Champion. So to 2:15 race. Okay, the Richmond Stakes. let's come back to a different race card. If you'd like to see me create a totally different race card to look at these with, please do drop that message into the chat. We can quickly create a new race card so I can show you how to do that if that would be of interest. But I'm going to come into the RD overview race card this time. This is my kind of overview. This gives me a kind of an oversight of a lot of different factors. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one other rating here to this race card, and then I'm going to show you why. I'm going to add something that we call a lower confidence rating, and I do that by going over to settings. I've got all my race cards here, and I've got RD overview. Where am I? On one of my pages of race cards down here. So I'm just going to edit this race card, and I'll put in a PFP, that's the form rating, and I'll put in the lower 95% confidence, and that's just add it to the bottom of the race card. I'm going to drag it up because I actually want to see that next to my PFP rating here. So what this lower confidence is it says a rating is an estimate. You might have heard me say this before. A rating is just an estimate of a performance. There is an upper confidence and a lower confidence. And that is, the rating is our best estimate of what we think the horse has performed. The upper confidence level is the score that we think the horse has performed the highest, and we can be 95% confident of that. The lower confidence level is the worst rating we think this horse might have got in the race, and we can be 95% confident of that. And that gives us this range where we can be 95% confident that the horse achieved a rating between the lowest point and the highest point. And that can be very, very handy, and I'm going to show you how right now. So I'm going to open this 2:15 race, and you'll see now that I've got this new rating here, this lower score, and I'm going to sort by this rating from high to low. So Kadar, I think I pronounced that right, Kadar, or maybe Kadar, the lowest level that we expect this horse's PFP rating to be is 1,501. And that means that we would expect a horse to be able to contend in this race to have a higher rating than 1,501. If it hasn't got a higher rating than 1,501, it's very, very unlikely to contend. And in this particular example, we can see Talbot down here, 1,501, right at the bottom, and unsurprisingly got a high odds. So I'm just going to remove that horse. So in this race, we're not removing many like that, but we can sometimes remove large swathes of horses whose, and we can even put the upper version of it in as well. And I'll maybe do that in another race. We put the upper version in, because if a horse's best possible rating with a 95% confidence isn't even high enough to be better than the best horse in the race's lowest possible rating. I hope that makes sense. So the best, if a horse's highest possible rating with 95% confidence can't even beat the best horse, best rated horses in the race lowest possible rating, then it's very unlikely to be able to contend. We can just remove those immediately. I'm happy to go through that again in more detail if you would like me to. So from PFP scores, I'm using a different rating here. So from PFP, we've got Kadar, Yazaman. Someone was already mentioned, I can't remember who it was, but someone's already mentioned they liked Yazaman in this particular race. Then coming over to the competitive rating, we see top two again, Yazaman and Kadar, but Louded is also dropped in here. The PFP looks okay for that one. If we do the competitive from speed perspective, same top three. Moving over, this is a 6 furlong race. So moving over, speed projection for today. Put Yazaman at the top. Again, Kadar and then Louded. Average speed over the last 90 days. Puts Louded at the top, pardon me. And then Kadar, Yazaman a bit lower, but still 123, still not vastly behind the others. Average speed on the ground, same top three. Yazaman at the top again, followed by Kadar. Average distance, Yazaman speed over the average speed over today's distance. Again, Yazaman at the top, then Kadar, then Louded. 5.278. Yazaman again at the top. Kadar, Louded drops down a bit, and we got Admiral Nelson's Supremacy kind of dropping in there. They've all had a recent good race. They've all had a recent win. They've all got decent strike rates of higher than 33%, but none of them have obviously had very many races. So we don't want to read too much into that. Then we've got trainer strike rates. If we're interested, Yazaman has a high trainer strike rate, 25%. Not so good on the jockey. Kadar is kind of not bad at 16 and 17%. These PFP points we were talking about in the last race, Yazaman, see 2 points in the last race, nearly 6 points in the one before, over 7 points the one before that. So continually going up. That's exactly what we want to see. Kadar doing the same thing. A few points in the last race, just under 4 the second to last, and nearly 7 in the last 3. So Kadar not looking quite as strong as Yazaman, but still looking a threat. And even Lauded down here, we're seeing the same thing again. Coming over to speed figures, we can see the same thing with speed figure. The speed figure in the last race, the second to last race, the third to last race, and the fourth to last race. And again, we can see here the speed figures are consistent. Kadar not so consistent. The last race didn't drop in quite as good a speed figure last time out. And the same goes for Lauded here. So Yazaman looking most consistent there, and then Kadar. So definitely Yazaman, for me, looking to be the strongest to beat in this race. Let's sort by PR odds and open that as well. So PR odds, this is our tissue line, and this column here, the one that is under PR odds, this is our odds line. It's the Race Advisors Artificial Intelligence odds line. Is merged with the live Betfair markets to make it as predictive as possible. And again, we can see Yazaman is the favorite, followed by Kadar. And if we look at the probabilities, we've got Yazaman. If I sort by the raw probability, the probability that we use to create our own odds line, we've got Yazaman here with 38.5% chance to win. Then actually Admiral Nelson is coming in as a contender, followed by Kadar and Lauded kind of further down in the market there. So Yazaman is looking to be by far the strongest horse in this race. I'm going to run a quick simulation using this race card. The simulations, the Monte Carlo simulations, are dependent on the ratings on the race card. So we're using this race card to do that. I'm just going to run that. And while we're doing that, I'm going to jump over to the chat to see who you are going to be following in this race. Okay, so just coming down here. Let me know, please, if you haven't let me know yet. Let me know who you're going to be following in this race. Philippe is saying he doesn't like one of the particular ratings I've used, but I'm not sure what rating you're talking about, Philippe. Let me know which rating you're talking about. Let me know which rating you would prefer to use. Liam, Yazaman, that's his nap for the day. Oh, sorry, Philippe has already said the L95, the lower 95. So he's saying that because our PFP ratings require a little bit of time to improve. However, I would personally, I would disagree. I like using the PFP in most conditions, except for maiden races. As long as the horse had kind of a couple of races, 2 or 3, start to be able to see whether it's an improving beginner or whether it's kind of struggling or not. So, but that works for me. Obviously, everybody is slightly different, and if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. Pablo over on YouTube is on Supremacy. John is on Yazaman. Philippe's on Yazaman and Loaded. David's on Admiral Nelson. Carl's on Yazaman. So it looks like Yazaman's going to be your favorite. Robin is asking me if I can explain how to best read the preferred race value when we look on an icon. That's fine, Robin. I'll do that in the next race. That's absolutely no problem. So at the end of that simulation, I'm going to exit the simulation, and then we're going to come back in here by clicking on the M. I'm going to bring back up the results of it now so that I can sort by the results. And sorting by the results, we got Yazaman at the top, Kadar, and then Gussie Mack, who we've not really heard much about, followed by Lauded, and then the others underneath. So Yazaman for me looks to be the one to beat. So let's jump over to the markets and see who we've got here. So we know Yazaman's the favorite already. We saw that on the race cards. Kadar is the second favorite, and then Supremacy, Admiral Nelson. Now at 2.8, the place markets are going to be low. So look, the 3 place market here with Yazaman only 1.36. So if you bet in that, you'd only make £7 if you were doing an 80-20. It's not worth it. You would, well, if you weren't that confident, you would still break even if Yazaman came in the top 3. But essentially what you're saying is, I'm going to break even on this horse, on this bet. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm more confident that Yazaman's going to be the major threat in this race. You could do the 2 place market there, but for me, if we're going for the 2 place market, I may as well go for the win. So I'm actually going to go for the win in this race. I'm going to bet on Yazaman to win. I think this race is going to be the one to beat. I think Kadar could be that threat. Lauded has possibilities, but I think Yazaman's going to be the one to beat. I'm going to go for the win on that horse in this particular race. I'm going to take the SP because I'll probably miss. Oh, it's already got matched. There we go. Perfect. So that's going to be for me in this race. And now we're going to move on to the 2:45 race. And see what's going on there. Just jumping back over here. Thank you. I see a few more people have joined in. Thank you for joining. Welcome. We're now on the 2:45. And we're going to go through this race before we get to the big races of the day. Yazaman was the most popular in that race. Please do give the thumbs up, give the like button, and make sure you do all that to let other people know that you're enjoying it. I'm just going to have a quick sip. I probably shouldn't have gone for a fizzy drink while doing this, but, you know, lesson learned. Right, okay. Let's move on to the 2:45 Goodwood Stakes Group 3 Class 1 race, 1 mile 3 furlongs. Prize money is starting to go up now. We're just over £42,500 in this race. And maybe we should look at this race slightly differently again. So for this race, let's start with the PR odds and let's see where we're at. So we got English King, Mogul, and Khalifa. And I'm only going to go for 3 because there's only 6 runners in this race. I'm only going to go for 3. Then I'm going to click on the PR odds and to see which of those are actually contenders as well. So I'm going to sort by the raw probability before they've been merged in. And English King is the one that's sitting here. But we've also given a possibility to Highland Chief and Subjectivist. So that kind of just clears only one horse from PR odds. And we see this a lot. We've seen this every day so far. And this is something that's quite specific to festivals. When you've got so many good horses competing in a race, we get lots of difference of opinion across ratings, because whatever way we look at a horse, some horses are going to be great from this angle, and they're not quite so great from this angle, but because the other horses are really good, the other horses are going to look great from this angle. So when we look at different ratings, from some ways this horse looks great, from another ways that horse doesn't look quite so good, but this horse looks great, and we're going to see this disparity, and we get that all the time in these big festival racing. That's why we should only be betting on these for fun, for entertainment. They shouldn't be part of our long-term plan for horse racing success. They should be fun, they should be enjoyment, they should be entertainment. Like you might go to the cinema or to the theatre or to a concert or something like that. They're fun, they're great to watch. So I'm going to actually drop in, I'm going to leave Subjectivist out because the probability dropped quite low there, but the probability for Highland Chief was quite high, so I'm going to leave that in. Next, I'm going to do the 5278, which on this particular race card is over here. And there we go. Highland Chief's down at the bottom for that. So that's giving us that concern there. And then we've got Mogul, Khalifa, and English King, the other 3, agreeing with the merged PR odds with the live market there. So possibly Highland Chief, bit of concern in there. Next, I'm going to run the Monte Carlo simulation. I'm going to run it on this race card. And then I'm going to do what William's doing over in the community. So I'm going to run it on this race card. We're going to see who comes in top. Then I'm going to go back to the standard race card and I'm going to run it again and see who comes in top there. Because they've got different ratings in. So the simulator is going to come up with potentially different results. Like we were just saying, different pieces of information, looks at horses in different ways. In these super uber competitive races, that means that we may get a different picture depending on what factors we're actually considering for that horse. So I'm going to do this twice in this particular race. And then I'm going to jump in to the horses in question. So I can show you, Robin asked if I could show you how I determine similar class, similar value races when looking at a horse history. Okay, so that simulation is there. That's at 90%. It's about to finish. Thank you very much. Just been brought a cup of tea. Grab yourself a drink as well, if you haven't got one. So here it is. I'm just going to exit that simulation there now, and let's jump back in and see what we've got. We're going to sort by horse. There we go. And this is interesting, you see. So on this race card, when we run that simulation, we've actually got Subjectivist, Al-Arsi, and Khalifa sat the top 3. And actually Mogul, English King, Highland Chief coming in at the bottom. Let's just look down to see the differences between their scores down here. Subjectivist looking to be offering good value on the odds, as is Khalifa sat. Coming down here, we can see that they're all very, very, very close. So down the left-hand side here, we've got odds based on that simulation. 6.4, 6.4. Highland Chief is a bit of an outsider. So Highland Chief is looking to be the weaker one here, but Subjectivist and Al RC coming in there for that particular race. So I'm going to unselect Highland Chief for the moment, and then I'm going to come over to the other race card, the standard race card here. And I'm going to run that simulation again. And while this next simulation is running, please do let me know, do you like any of these horses? Is this a race you're going to bet on? Do you think it's too competitive? Are you going to move on? Let me know. I'm coming over now to see what your thoughts are on this race. Philippe is heading off on Facebook. Thank you very much. If you've got headphones, pop in the headphones. You can just listen to us. You don't need to be able to watch. You can just listen to what we're talking about as we go along. So coming over to the chat to see who you are going to be betting on, or if you like any of these horses. Pablo is suggesting to get some vodka to make the picking a little easier over on YouTube, and I wouldn't disagree, Pablo. It's definitely difficult. Robin over on YouTube is going on Subjectivist 80-20 bet each way. What do you like about Subjectivist, Robin? Please do let me know. Wee Whiskey Dram is on Khalifa Sat, Pablo on Al Arce. And John is also on Subjectivist for the 3 places with odds of 2.42. So we've got a bit of a range here of what's going on. Now that simulation's just finished. Carl, I just saw that you dropped in there that you're on Khalifa Sat as well. So let's open up that simulation. Let's see what we've got. So going from high to low, Khalifa Sat in this is the top. But I'll say is coming in again under here, and then Subjectivist, an English King Mogul dropping down again. So this is gonna be tough. We can't ignore Al Arce anymore. Subjectivist we've got to consider as a threat. Khalifa Sat we already say has definitely got. I don't know why I highlighted English King there. Apologies. Has definitely got a threat. So Mogul hasn't had a good race for 320 days. We've got to find a way to start stripping down these horses because there's too many. So Mogul hasn't had a good race for 320 days. I'm going to remove Mogul. I'm going to be quite brutal with it now. This is a 1 mile 3 furlong race. So sorting by good races, Subjectivist has had a good race. Now I'm going to sort by PFP. And as I say, I'm going to be fairly brutal here. So by PFP, we've got Mogul, but we've removed Mogul because no day since last good race. I'm actually going to remove that horse, so I can't see it anymore. That leaves Khalifa Sat still sticking at the top. English King just behind. We've not had much else for English King, although I can see over here it's a 5-2-7-8. So English King sitting just behind. And then there's a drop down to Subjectivist. I'm going to remove Subjectivist from that because that was second on all the others as well. And then we drop right down here to Al Arce down there. I'm also going to sort by the competitive PFP here. We've got English King at the top, Subjectivist, a drop, Al Arce, Khalifa Sat. So we're looking very, very similar. So with these 3 horses, I'm going to open their form, and I'm going to show you, Robin, exactly how I consider this. So remember, the prize money is 42,000. It's good ground, flat turf, 1 mile, 3 furlongs. So now let's jump over to English King, who was one of the horses we were looking at. And for prize money, I'm just looking over here. You see here, it says 284K, £284,000 was the prize money in that race. I prefer to use prize money for class rather than class. It's more accurate and it's a better predictor of actually the horses that are in the race. So there is actually a video on YouTube that shows exactly why that is the case and why I do that. So you can go find that video on YouTube to go into more detail, but I just use the prize money here for class. And I'm looking for something. So around 42, so we can see in this £284,000 race at Epsom at the beginning of the month, came third, beaten by a fair distance, 6.35 lengths this horse was beaten by. However, this was a 284,000 prize money class over similar conditions. So the horse performed well. Today it's only a 42,000 pound prize money. So coming down, we've got a 1 mile 3 furlong at a lower class than today, won easily by 2.75 lengths. Then again, another race that was all weather though, but at £6,000, got held up in rear and still won easily. And then we're going back to its first race on the 23rd of October 2019 on soft ground over a shorter distance. Didn't do well, but that wasn't the same conditions. The ground here at Lingfield, Newcastle, was slower as well. So everything points to this horse being a we're going to do exactly the same thing for now. So Khalifa Sat was in this same race at Epsom, the 455, 284,000. Let me just double check that. That race was at 455. English King was in the same race. So English King came 5th. Khalifa Sat came 2nd. So Khalifa Sat has already beaten this horse in that race. Obviously performed exceptionally well there. 5.5 lengths behind the winner. Good ground. The previous race, 17,000 prize money at Goodwood. So essentially the same race as today, but a slightly lower class. Won that race only by a short distance, 0.3 lengths, but finished well. Was hard pressed in the final 110 yards. So this horse is likely to be more of a threat than English King, and has already beaten English King as well. LRC, here we have the highest value race here was 23 grand, so lower than today, and that was on good to soft. Wow, ran well and won by 1.75 lengths, so that was a good performance. But coming back here to Newmarket, to the 350 on the soft ground, same distance, won by 10 lengths, but it was only a 3K race. Back onto the good to firm, 14 grand again, lower class than today, 1 mile 2 furlongs, so a slightly shorter distance than we're getting today, was beaten. So this horse looks like it's going to have potential. It can be a threat, but it's got to improve. We're jumping up in class. Obviously, this horse likes a slightly softer ground. It's not going to get softer ground today. It's going to be hard. It's going to be firm. Good to firm today, I would imagine. It's going to probably be drying out throughout the day. So this horse needs somewhere to go. It needs to improve. It looks like it is improving and it can improve, but we got to bear that in mind. So now if we jump over to the markets, so this is the 245, let's jump over to the markets here. And in the markets, we've got English King, currently the favourite, Frankie Dettori, followed by Al RC, Mogul, and Khalifa Sat sitting here, odds of 8. I definitely think this horse has more chance than odds of 8. And think that it could be a big threat. Those odds are high, and I think we can probably get a saver in on either the 2-place or the 3-place market on this runner really comfortably, just in case it doesn't take it. So let's start with the 2-place market and see. I mean, it's got odds of 3.3 in a 2-place market, and in the 3-place market we're still getting odds of 2.46. So if Khalifa Sat comes in the top 50% of runners in this race, and unless something goes wrong, this horse should come in the top 50% of runners in this race. We can still double our stakes, which is amazing. So that's going to be the one for me. I can still double my stake. I'll do an 80-20 on this horse, or maybe could even do an each way on this runner. I think this horse, I think the odds of 8, 7-1 in the win market, it's just too high. It's definitely too high for this horse. If we didn't each way on it, we'd get a nice profit in there. And you see, if we did it each way, that'd be £12.50 on it to win. That'd be £85 profit if the horse won. And if we come back here down to the 3 places and did it each way, you'll see we will still get our full stake money back pretty much. So effectively that becomes our saver. So the question now becomes, do we want to go for Khalifa Sat to win this race? In which case the each way bet is going to be better, because effectively we are breaking even. We're making a tiny profit, but basically we're breaking even if the horse comes in the top 3, but we're making the big profit if it wins. Or do we want to hedge ourselves, hedge the risk, and go for the 80-20, where effectively we will make as long as the horse comes in the top 50%, we're going to walk away with a £20 profit to a £25 stake, so around an 80-90% return, whatever happens. What would you do? Let me know what you would do. Would you hedge? Would you go for the 80-20? Would you go for the each way? Go for the win? While you're putting that in the chat, I'm going to jump very quickly over to the speed graphs for this race to try and confirm my opinion here. Speed for this race. And I'm going to draw out horses that we're not interested in. So that's Highland Chief. And, well, actually, we can see here, English King is fine. It's dropped off. So I wouldn't want to go on English King either. Mogul has been dropping off as well. So we want to go on Mogul. Khalifa Sat this last race was a drop down here. You see this? The speed figure was a drop, but won that race. Otherwise, has been improving. Al RC is up here. Subjectivist is up here, and this kind of reframes my thinking a little bit. I'm going to jump once more back over to the race card. And I'm just going to get a handle again on the form ratings and how Khalifa Sat is sitting comparatively to other horses. So the PFP, here we go. I'm just going to run through it quickly. Khalifa Sat is kind of sitting second. The average competitive sitting in the middle. The average speed sitting in the middle. The speed on the ground sitting in the middle. But we've seen steady improvement. Wow. This is a tough one. I'm tempted to go with the each way here and go that this horse can take the win. I'm coming over to see what you think for this race. Khalifa Sat, English King. Try not to get too technical with this one. I went on past winner stats. Thomas is like Electric Ladyland Zabeel championing Khalifa in this race, and there's even the next. David's saying that the Derby form might be distorted because it's the strangest Derby ever seen. Absolutely. Carl's going for the 80-20. Okay, I'm going to come back over here. Right, what one am I going to go for? Do you know, I think I'm going to go for, oh, this is difficult. I think I'm going to go for the each way. I think Khalifa Sat could take it. I'm going to take the break even. If it doesn't, I'm going to go for an each way bet for the 3-place market on Khalifa Sat. I think Khalifa Sat has definitely got potential. I think the odds are too high. There are definitely other horses in this race that could take it, but as long as it comes in the top 3, I'm going to break even. So that's how I've decided to go on in that particular race. Okay, let's move on to the next race, the 3:15 at Goodwood today. 141,000. It's the Nassau Stakes. This is a big race. So let's see who we're going to go for in this race. 7 entries. And actually, Graham has just dropped in saying this is too competitive. That last race is too competitive. He's going no bet. And never ever forget, that is the best. That is actually the best decision you can do. When we're sitting there going, could it be this one? Or could it be this one? Or there's actually this one's actually half the field could win this race. The best decision you can possibly do is actually to go, too many contenders, too competitive. I'm going to sit out and watch the race. So that is the best thing that you can do. Okay, right, let's move on to the next race. And again, my timekeeping has not been excellent. It's just gone 12:15, 15 minutes to 12:30. I'm probably going to overrun by maybe 10 to 15 minutes again. Do apologize for that. I hope you can stay with me for the duration. Let's go through this big race now, and then we'll move on. So I'm going to go back to the standard race car for this big race. And currently in the market, there is one horse. If I sort by Betfair odds here, you can see there's one horse down here, Lavender Blue, which is an outsider, higher than 29-1. That's going. Next, I'm going to take a quick glance at our raw probabilities over here. I get to that by clicking on any horse's PR odds. And this gives me the raw probabilities that we've given that horse. Fancy Blue is sitting there at the top of the field. Okay. So Fancy Blue is sitting there at the top of the field, and so we'll know that is currently the favourite. So we're actually agreeing our raw probabilities with that. Now I'm going to run the Monte Carlo simulator, and that's going to be the next one. Who do you like in this big Nassau Stakes race today? Over 1 furlong, 7 runners, taking place for nearly £142,000 in prize money. Carl over on Facebook is on Nazif, while Carl over on YouTube is on Yazaman. Yazaman being in a different race. So Carl over on YouTube, I was going to say, I think that was the run that we just done. You're on Yazaman in the previous race. But Carl over on YouTube, do you agree with the Facebook call, Nazif for this race, or do you think it's something different? So while that simulation is just finishing off, please could you hit the like button just below this video, the thumbs up, the smiley face, whichever it is, just hit that like button below this video, please. It helps let Facebook know that you're enjoying what we're doing. It helps let YouTube, if you're on YouTube, know that you're enjoying what you're doing. It makes a big difference if you could just hit that that like button or that smiley face button and send that up there. That would be would appreciate if you would just hit that button. Thank you. Okay, simulation is finished. Going to come out of the simulator and drop back in to see the results. Now, the results of the simulation put Nazif at the top of the field there. Fancy Blue is kind of down here in the middle. Nazif seems to be way ahead of the others. We've got a nice arc. If you look at that curve, just look at the silks. We can see this nice arc. We've got Nazif, Magic Wand, Deirdre, Fancy Blue, coming down to one voice, Queen, Power. And if we look at the odds as well, I can see the odds over here, you see. If we look at the odds, then essentially we're agreeing with those two outsiders with the market. One voice, Queen, Power. Those are kind of the ranked outsiders in the market. So now that leaves us with Nazif, Magic Wand, Deirdre, Fancy Blue as the possibles in this race. So days since last good race, Deirdre hasn't had a good race for 285 days. That's quite a while, but is a course distance winner here at this race, at this track, I should say. In terms of the 5278, Deirdre is sitting at the top, then Nazif, then Magic Wand, then Fancy Blue. I'm going to jump back into the PR odds again, and we'll see Thrive Probabilities. We've got Fancy Blue, One Voice, Nazif, Deirdre coming in here. So Nazif, Fancy Blue sitting in there as well. VDW doesn't get much for the race scores predictability in this particular race, so I'm going to ignore that for this race. I'm going to check now. Speed figure in the last race adjusted for days weight. That's this column, and it's ranked. So number 1 is the best, number 2 is second best, number 3. Nazif, Magic Wand, Deirdre. This is a concern for Fancy Blue right down here at the bottom, but doesn't mean not a threat. Let's look at the best ever speed. Again, Fancy Blue at the bottom. But what I'm looking for here is the gap between them. And these 4 horses, Nazif, Magic Wand, Deirdre, Queen, Power, are all very similar. And then we get a big gap going down. Good race in the last 10 again. We see Nazif, Magic Wand, Queen, Power up there. Deirdre, Fancy Blue, a little bit lower. This is super competitive. Okay, as we would expect for the Nassau Stakes. So Deirdre, in terms of competitive scores, Deirdre, Magic Wand, Nazif coming up here again. Fancy Blue bring down a little bit here. So I'm actually going to remove Fancy Blue. It's been kind of low for a number of different factors now. Looking at the raw PFP, Nazif is kind of sitting at the top, then Magic Wand, then Deirdre, and we're putting Fancy Blue back in the middle there. I'm going to jump quickly over to the race card with more ratings in here. I'm going to sort by highest rated PFP, and again, that's Nazif here, and then I've got his lowest PFP. Remember, we were talking in the last race, we were talking about upper confidence, lower confidence, and Nazif's lowest confidence level for his rating was 1504. Yet Deirdre, we are expecting his PFP to be 1503. I haven't put the upper confidence level in. I could put that in to see what the highest we expect Deirdre's rating to be, but we know it's going to come over this lower one. That means that the horse can compete, but this is kind of a bit of a concern. So I'm actually going to remove Deirdre there because it doesn't look to be quite strong enough. Fancy Blue still kind of here as well. So let's look again at some of these scores. So I've got this average competitive score. This has a time decay on it. This is different to the one on the standard race card purely by the fact it has a time decay on it. Time decay means we put more importance on recent races and less importance on races that happened long ago. So you could say that when you put the time decay when you don't have that time decay function in a rating, that just tells you the horse's kind of overall score over its entire life. when you put that time decay function on, you put more importance on recent races, that shows you it's more recent trajectory, it's more dynamic, it tells us kind of what's happening now. And when we do that, we see Fancy Blue comes back up to the top here. Nazif is in the middle. Magic Wand drops way, way down. And if we do that with speed as well, we've got Nazif again at the top, Fancy Blue in the middle. And the Nazif looks to be the threat here. Magic Wand is dropping off. Fancy Blue I've brought back in. I should mention Deirdre as well, sitting kind of in the middle there too, but not looking super strong. For the ground condition, speed, Nazif is near the top and Deirdre as well. The other two not looking to have the speed. So for me, we're looking probably here Nazif and Fancy Blue. They look to be the ones. They're both improving. We can see that over here on these scores getting up. They're both consistent speed rating, but Nazif's speed is significantly better than the others. So for me, Nazif is looking to be the one to beat in this race. Fancy Blue, I think, definitely has possibilities, but probably not at market favorite odds of 3.9. Let's just take a quick look at pace in this race as well. So the majority of races fall into this pace category of true. We do get mid-packs and closing horses winning these types of races, but they generally need a faster pace to set them up for that closing run. The leaders and the early presses are the horses that are most often winning these true races. So if the predicted race pace is true and the race turns out to be run true, then leaders and early pressers are the ones that are going to win these races more often. And in fact, a good early presser is often going to be better than a leader, particularly if that horse gets off to a really good, fast start. So let's look at the pace scores. I'm going to put this total pace as the column I'm interested in here. And Magic Wand is going to be up here, but there's not going to be, I mean, we can see this looks like we're going to be true. We can see where that true pace come from. Magic Wand possibly going to be that leader in this race. Likes to be an early presser, but probably going to be a leader because based on those pace scores, the other horses are kind of all zeros. They're going to be sitting there. Nazif's going to be that closer, but it's kind of also only just behind, and this is a position that suits him. We can see that running style suits him as well, so he might be just a little bit further back but then power through it at the end. So let's jump over to the market. Let's see what the market's doing in the 3:15, and then I'm going to jump in and see who you think is going to win this race, why you think they're going to win this race, and who you're going to be following in it. So the market's showing Fancy Blue, which we already know was the market favorite. And that seems to be a little bit too low. The odds of 3.85 seem to be a little bit too low for that runner. Magic Wand, definitely, that also seems to be a bit too low. It appeared, but it wasn't one of our primary focuses. Nazif and Deirdre here, sitting in the middle of the field. For me, Nazif is going to be the one to beat. I would have gone for Fancy Blue as a possible place, but not at those odds. I think Fancy Blue, a possible place, but not at those odds. Deirdre, a possible place as well, but I'm going to go for Nazif to be the one to beat. This is super competitive, so I'm going to try and get an 80-20 on this if it will work. So if I go to the 3-place market and see if we do that, £20 to a £25 stake using an 80-20 bet. An 80-20 bet is where you put 80% of the stake in the place market, 20% of the stake goes on the win. If we're going to go for 3 places and Nazif comes in those 3 places, then we'd make a £13 profit minus the £5 win stake. So we'd be walking away with around £8 profit. That's around about 40% return on investment, which is a pretty good return on investment. If we just to go straight to the standard 2-place market, we can see Nazif here is actually 2.44. So we would be looking at a £28 profit if he came in the top 2 minus that £5 win stake. Personally, I tend to, if there's a choice, I tend to not go on 80-20 bets in the 2-place market because for me, usually if I'm going to go for the 80-20, and I do a lot of 80-20 bets, I'm de-risking, and if I'm de-risking, usually I want that top 3 places or more or the win. So I'm kind of not so interested generally in the 2-place market for 80-20 bets. However, another way of structuring the bet is to do just a 2-place bet on Nazif to win. But then we will be missing out on these odds, which I think are good at 4.9 in the win market. 4.9 in the win market, it seems to be too high to me for Nazif to win this race. I'd actually possibly be tempted to lay Fancy Blue at 3.9, but because I definitely think that's underpriced. But in these festival races, we're looking short term. If this was more long term, I would be looking at Fancy Blue legs. I'm sure that price is far too low, and there's an edge there on the lay market. But so we would be missing out on this 4.9 if we went for just the place. So I'm going to go 80-20 on the Zeef. I'm going to do the 3-place market. I'm going to do £5 on the win, which will give that £19 profit there. I'm going to come over to the 3-place market. I'm going to do the £20 here, and it's actually just jumped up a little bit as well. But we get £14 there, £13.72 if the horse comes in the top 3. So we'll make a profit about £8 if the horse only comes in the top 3, and if it wins, we're going to be walking away. So that £8 profit, if it comes in the top 3, is going to be about a 40% return roughly, which is great, I think, for this horse to come in the top 3. If the horse wins, we're going to be walking away with around about a £22, so around about an 80-90% return on investment if the horse wins, which I'm actually very, very happy with for that race. Now I'm going to jump over and see how you're betting, how you're structuring your bet in this race today. So I just realized I didn't share my Betfair screen now. I do apologize. I was jumping around on the Betfair odds. I do apologize. I forgot to swap over to that screen. So just coming back here, Carl is on the Zeef. Hi, Chris. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Great for you to join in. I've just seen that message come in. Thank you. Pleased you were able to join us. I know you're only on handicaps. John is on Deirdre and Lavender's Blue. Interesting to see that you're going on Lavender's Blue, John, over there on Facebook. Roy, hi, Roy, welcome. Will, 10,000 simulation will boost Nazif to 72%. So what Will has done over on YouTube, Will has just done a 10,000 simulation. So I'm running the Monte Carlo simulations at 1,000 simulations. Will's just gone and done a 10,000 simulation on the race. That's boosted Nazif's win score to 72%. Giving it a very, very strong horse. The more simulations you run, the more accurate that Monte Carlo simulation will be. It's a balance between time that it will take. So it will take that much longer on a 10,000 simulation run to a 1,000 simulation run. So it's a balance between time and accuracy. 1,000 is the default, but 10,000, that's really interesting, Will. Thank you. Robin is the preferred pace column. Sorry, I was wondering how to make sense of the preferred praise column. Robin, did I clear that up there, or was that not clear? I can come back and have a look at that at the end if that wasn't clear. So if that wasn't clear, Robin, about how I do the preferred pace and the total pace, I'll come back and I'll do a very quick run through of how we do that at the end. David over on YouTube is on Nazif. Raison, weight difference. Weight difference? Sorry, Ray, I'm not following what you mean there. John Bell's on the Zeef. Fred's on Fred, do I often take SP on my selections? Generally, no. Generally, I take the odds that are currently available. And the reason is because I like to structure my bets on the odds that are available. But that does depend a little bit on how far away. In a normal day, I will only generally place bets certainly not more than 15 or 20 minutes before a race, and usually it's in the last kind of 10 to 5 minutes because I like to see what the market has done. So in that case, sometimes I will take SP, but generally I'm looking to see what the market is and how the market is formed, and that will actually determine how I structure my bets. So lots of us are on the Zeef in that race, which is wonderful. So now we're going to jump back over because I am really running behind. The last 3 races are lower class, so we're going to go through these a lot faster. And obviously, the next one is a nursery race, so we got very, very little information to do with this race. And generally, when we've got little information, we want to use the market as much as possible. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do something a bit different here. Well, first of all, we're going to come into the Betfair odds. We're going to filter that and then remove all these kind of non-contenders straight away based purely on high odds. And that's any horse that's got odds of over 29 to 1, I'm taking out. Next, I'm going to come up here and you'll see this public odds setting just here. What this does is this determines how much our tissue odds, our odds line that we have here, PR odds is our artificial intelligence odds line, and that is merged with the live Betfair odds to make it more accurate. This setting here tells us how important we are making the live market odds. And at the moment, the standard is 55%. So we give 55% weight to the market as standard. But in this nursery race, I'm going to bump that up to 85%. And you'll see all these PR odds just changed. William Bligh was just 4, now it's 3.24. So that's just changed that completely. Once I've done that, I'm now going to sort in order, and I'm going to highlight the 2 horses that match any horse in the top 4 over here. And we can see that gives us William Bligh and Running Back. Now, these horses have got some form, but not huge amounts. So what are we going to do? This is a 7 furlong race. Now I've done that, I'm going to come actually over to the speed graphs, and I'm going to have a quick look at the speed graphs and see what they look like for this race. And the first thing I notice, I'm not going to put any filter on these graphs. Let me put it up to full screen to make it a bit clearer. So I'm not going to put any filter on this grass. I'm looking at these horses that are standout. That's what I'm just trying to train my eye to these horses. So we've got Balavad up here. I've got William Bligh here, and also looking at the average speeds in the brackets next to each horse. William Bligh, on average, has had the fastest speed of these runners, and looks to be nicely improving. We can see it's 3 races here, coming from there. It was level, saw a small improvement. Balavad has bounced a bit, but it's definitely a threat. And then the other one that we take notice of here is Running Back as well. Now, Running Back and William Bligh are both in there. Balavad we hadn't seen from the horses that we previously looked at as well. And I'm not filtering this anymore because there's actually not enough data on these horses to really filter. They've only been in 3, kind of 2 or 3 races each, so there's not much. Worth pointing out, this horse down here, we can see Samara Bay, steady improvement every single race. We'd expect to see improvement today, but we'd have a long way to go on that trajectory to get up to these horses today. Of the others, possibly this horse here, Calcutta Cup, could come up if continue to perform on that same trajectory. But the main threats seem to be William Bligh, Running Back, and Balavad based on that speed graph there. So I'm going to jump back over now to the race cards. We've got them here. I just want to confirm that opinion. I'm going to confirm that opinion by looking at the horses' races and its history, just to see where it's contended on. So let's jump over and have a quick look at that. So here we got William Bligh. Today's race is 7 furlongs, 12,500, just over 12,500 prize money, class 2, and obviously good ground. And I'm thinking by the time we get to this race, it's going to be good to firm, edging on to firm. So all these races are over similar distance. Obviously 6 furlongs is a little bit lower. The first race didn't do very well down here. Kempton, or Weather Flat, made absolutely 0 impression in that 4K race. But then that was slightly slower ground, standard to slow. Then we come over here. Did well, kept on well, but had no chance in the last 110 yards. So did very well, but lost out in that last 110 yards. Again, ground was slow. Won nicely in the race after that at 6 furlongs. So the distance shouldn't be an issue. Obviously the slightly higher class for this race than previously. It was carrying 9.5 in those races. Only got a couple of pounds extra, so that shouldn't really make the difference. So as long as this horse gets on with the firmer ground, should definitely have potential in this race. Okay, Running Back. Obviously similar class that it's coming from. All-weather race here. Slower ground. Was beaten, but only just. Ran on and just failed. Then 12th of June, Newbury. And again was beaten by 4 lengths here over 6 furlongs on good ground. No chance of the winner from 1 furlong out, and kept on. So not looking quite so strong as the previous horse, William Bligh, there really for us. And then we've got Balavad. So again, all weather. Today we're not on the all weather, so needs to like the turf, needs to like the firmer ground. Most of these have been on standard to slow, so again, slightly slower ground that it's been on before as well. And also, this horse has very, very high Betfair odds, and we can see possibly why. Came third by 2.5 lengths, had no extra Came third by 3.5 lengths, no pace. Came fifth by just under 4 lengths, took nothing. So this looks like to be a horse, but always generally takes a keen hold first, leads, gets pushed on, hasn't quite got the stamina to make it. The difference today, possibly the ground, but it's a bit uncertain, to be honest. And then finally, Calcutta Cup, who we just mentioned there at the end as a possibility. We can see straight away, we're probably not going to want to bet on this horse. Hasn't really performed at all yet, hasn't had a good race in anything, even though it's tried on good ground in both those races. So we'll stay away from that. So for us, William Bligh is looking to be the strongest there, but we want the market to confirm that for us. So let's jump over to the market and see. And that's exactly what the market has done here. The market's confirmed William Bligh. It's the favourite by quite a margin. So in these races, we want to use the market quite heavily. So William Bligh, for me, is going to be the horse in this race. Let's just have a look at the place market, see what we've got here, because this is a nursery race. There is all to make. I mean, only odds of 1.5 in the 3-place market. So if you're going to do an 80-20, I mean, essentially that's going to be a break even. I mean, those odds, to be honest, are kind of a bit short for me in the place market. I've already said I'm not really a fan of the 2-place market, particularly not at 1.89 for this runner. And the 4-place market is just going to be ridiculous at 1.34. So for me, for a bet in this race, if you want to bet in this race the way I'm going to do it, because I'm betting in every single race, I'm going to be watching these races. It's just for fun. It's just for entertainment. I'm going to be going just William Bligh to win this race. Everything's pointing to it to be the horse that's going to be the one. Who are you going? Are you just going to skip this race? Just having a quick look over here. 3-year-old allowance on the bottom 2. Right, weight difference in the 315. Sorry, between Fantasy Blue and big difference. I've got you. Okay, John is on William Bligh as well. If you're going to bet in this race, let me know. Is this a race that you would bet on, or is this a race that you would skip? I'd love to know. Would you go into this race just for fun, just for a small bet like we've done, or would you skip this race? Would you just move on and just leave this as one to watch? Let me know. Let me know in the chat now. And while you're doing that, I'm going to bring back over to this screen here and look at the last 2 races very quickly. And this last race, again, maiden fillies race. We've got 1 run for each horse. So let's drop these public odds straight back up to 85. And then let's sort by PR odds. These are the top 4 in the race. I'm also going to drop out the bottom horses here who have got high odds. I'm even going to drop out actually Zuma with odds of over 24. Horse has never run before either. I tend to not want to bet on a horse that has never run before. So unless the market is telling me to. So that would knock out Spirited Bermuda as well, because the market has this horse has never won before and it's not the favorite. So I'm going to knock that out. That leaves just 3 horses in this race to look at. It's a 7 furlong race. Let's have a quick look at the speed figures achieved for this horse. I'm going to do that over on this race card here, just made for speed. And while that race card's loading, I'm just going to come back and see if you're going to be betting in this race or not. Pablo's going to be going on Calcutta. Carl, no bet over on YouTube. Good luck to the other Carl over on Facebook. Pablo thinks Calcutta has value. Robin's leaving it out. And Dave is on quarantine. I mean, that race is totally open. Anyone could take it. And the same is going to be for this race now that we're looking at here as well. I mean, we've got a few here. Let's have a look at the speeds. So average over the last 4 races. Well, these horses haven't had 4 races. So we're just looking at the speed figure from the last race. And we can speed based purely on speed. Miss Chess is not going to be one to be betting on in this race. It's going to be Iconic Queen, Teodolina, or Dreams Unwind. Looking at speed over the ground, where they've been on the same ground, Iconic Queen hasn't been on the ground, so we can't rate that, but Teodolina, Dreams Unwind. Looking at speed over distance, Iconic Queen is way up there for the distance, and then Dreams Unwind behind, and Teodolina last. And speed figure adjusted from the last race would also put Iconic Queen up near the top. So we're looking at Iconic Queen. Dreams Unwind seem to be in the middle, and Teodolina based purely on speed. Now, we're going to look at one last thing here over on the overview card, and then we're going to have a very brief look at pace to see if there's anything pace here that can highlight us. So over here on the overview card, I just wanted the projected speed. This is what I'm looking for. So projected speed here puts Iconic Queen, Teodolina, Dreams Unwind there. As we know, our PR odds is putting Teodolina at the top. So for me, it's looking to be Teodolina and Iconic Queen. Dreams Unwind, possibly not. The pace is expected to be true. Opening the pace, we're not going to have much for any of these horses. Dreams Unwind is the only one that we've really got any pace data on at all. Looks like this horse is going to lead, so that could set it up quite nicely for Teodolina. Okay, so just going to come over to the market now and have a look at the 420. Are you on this race? Are you in this? Are you going to go in this maiden filly stake race, or is this going to be one that you're actually going to skip? So, no bet on the 420 from Carl. John would only have a bet if he could find substantial evidence that the market might be wrong. Wow, Euroloco, we were on the same selections. Amazing. So great minds think alike, Euroloco. We'll determine whether we're the great minds at the end of the racing day or not. John's no bet. Pablo is just going for a random fun bet. And you know what? When Holly picks a horse for me with a pin in a colour, she often does very well, particularly in the Grand National race. So, right, I'm going to have a look at the market. We've got the market up here. We know in these races the market's really accurate. Teodolina is the favourite. Teodolina is the horse we thought was strongest. Iconic Queen is kind of sitting down in the middle of the race. It's another difficult race. There's going to be, the place market's not going to give us any odds we want to get on with Teodolina, as you can see here. Possibly odds with Iconic Queen that you might want to get on, even in the 4-place market. Iconic Queen is kind of 2.32. So actually, I'm just going to split my bet. This is a fun race. Teodolina for me is the one to beat. I'm going to go £20 of that £25 stake as a fun bet in this race on Teodolina to win under Ryan Moore. But I'm also going to take £5 of it, and I'm going to drop that on Iconic Queen in the 4 places. So I'm giving it a pretty big scope to come in here. Basically, it comes in the top half of the field. I'm gonna take that there as well. Just as a bit of a fun bet to be on 2 horses. These races are nearly impossible. There is no form. There is nothing we can do. The best guide in these races is the market, and the market is agreeing with the limited information that we have. Teodolina being the horse is the one to beat in this race. So we're going to go with that. Okay, now we're going to move into the last race, the 455 over at Goodwood, the last race of the 3rd day at Goodwood. It's a Tatler Nursery. It's a 5-furlong sprint. These horses have a little bit more history. It's class 2. It's only got 10.5k prize money. And let's start by looking at the speed graphs, because this is a 5-furlong race. Let's see how these horses have performed in terms of speed. So full screen. Here are those graphs. So the first thing we notice is that this horse here, Nassau Stakes. Oh, let me share that tab. Sorry. So the first thing that we notice here is that Nassau Stakes is dropping off at a big pace. So I'm going to remove Nassau Stakes here. We also notice that has happened here with this runner too, Winter Power, coming straight down there. So we're going to remove Winter Power as well from those graphs. Next, I've got, and again, I'm being quite brutal because time's going on, so we're going to do this quite fast. Relative choice is on, looks to be downwards. The others seem to be pretty stable with a possible edge here for different face. Okay, so different face, the possible edge. All the others here, Golden Bear, Lothian, Rebel at Dawn, different face, Angela, Acklam Express, all kind of middle of the field. Now, if we remove those that have currently got high odds, that would remove Angela and Relative Choice as well. So just to show you what that would look like, that would remove Angela from here as well. So that reduces that down significantly. Now I'm just going to reset this graph very briefly, but before I do that, I'm just going to mark that we have put down Golden Bear on the graph. We've got Golden Bear, Lothian. I'm just marking these so we don't forget them. Lothian is actually a non-runner, so Lothian can come out. So we've got Golden Bear, Rebel at Dawn, different face, and then the last one on there is Acclam Express. So that's 4 out of 8 runners. Now I'm just going to come back into this field here, and now I'm just going to do flat turf. I'm going to do 5 furlong races, so I'm going to add maybe 1,200 yards. So a 5 furlong race is 1,100 yards. I'm going to put 1,200 just to give it a little bit of thing. I'm not worried about the ground, I'm just looking for the distance. I want to see what these horses are like over the distance, okay? But I've reset that graph. Again, we can see here, South Soul, really not looking great. There's a speed figure down here for Winter Power. That's a little bit concerning. And so that kind of leaves us, if I take out South Soul, I take out Winter Power, and I'm going to also, we haven't actually marked any of those ones either anyway. So then I've got these other horses here. We've got Acclam Express looking still good. A little bit of a decline for Angela. And the ratings for Lothian are also a little bit low. So Angela, Lothian, not quite so positive. Acclam Express looking good. Back over here, we've got Relative Choice and Rebel at Dawn. So for me, that's going to leave Acclam Express, Rebel at Dawn, and we've already removed Relative Choice for high odds. So now we're down to just 2 horses in the field. So here we go. Rebel at Dawn and Acclam Express looking to be the strongest there. Now I'm going to look at the projected speed figures for this race. Rebel at Dawn significantly better, we can see here. Also, at a quick glance, we can see Rebel at Dawn is best average in the last 90 days, is the best average on the ground. So all looking strong there for Rebel at Dawn. Acclam Express is top for the 5278 rating, but this is a kind of combined form-based rating, and there's only 2 races, so that's going to be primarily probably jockey-based, I would imagine, because we put jockey, trainer, some form, and that kind of combines all the information into one. Scrolling along here, bit of concern over Rebel at Dawn here, so I'm just going to jump into these horses' histories a little bit and to decide whether we want to bet on either of these at all. So here are the horses' histories. Rebel at Dawn, 9 out of 9 in the last 6 furlong race on good to soft ground. And then coming back here to the 13th of June, came first at 5 furlongs. Again, good to soft, was strong towards the finish there, carrying 9.5. Today, Rebel at Dawn is carrying 9.7, but these sorts of few pounds don't really make a difference over 5 furlongs. So down in this 6 furlong race on the all-weather was no match for the winner, Rebel at Dawn there. Okay, so that just gives us a little bit of an insight into Rebel at Dawn. We can also just drop over into the race card here as well to see what ratings it actually had in each of its past races. And you can do that for any of your race cards on Race Advisor. Any of your race cards here, you can choose, and you can see a horse's ratings for every single race it's ever been in. And this can be quite handy because we can see in this race here, it was it got a speed figure of projected to be 161, but actually then it dropped down. So that's that small drop that we saw. That is more useful. There is actually a strategy we have called Horse History Strategy that uses that in detail, but that's more useful when you have more history for horses, obviously. Acclam Express coming in here, 2 decent performances over 5 furlongs. One back on the 7th of July, took keen hold, prominent, waiting for room, 2 furlongs out, was ridden, squeezed through, led inside the final 110 yards cozily. And then down here, I didn't quite compete, but put in a good race. So based on that, Acclam Express looks to have a slight edge. I will do one last thing in the last minute, and we'll just run a, I'll come to the standard race card over here, let's just drop into the standard race card and run a simulation for this final race to see what that brings out, to see if it agrees with us or if it actually throws a spanner into the works. So here we go. We'll just run that simulation. While that's running, I'm going to jump over the chat and see who you're going to be following in this race. Okay, so in this race, the last race, Pablo is going on. David is on Iconic Queen, I believe. Is that? No, I'm just trying to see that horse. I think that was a different race that we're talking about there, David. I think that was the previous race. John on Different Face. David on Soul. So we got a big mix here in this race. Let's just see who is coming in. While that's running, if you've not ever created an account on the Race Advisor, if you're not yet part of the RA Pro, the Race Advisor Pro community, please do come over at www.raceadvisor.co.uk, create your account, come into our community, join in. We have, in my opinion, we have the best tools, software for analyzing horse racing and the best training. There is a lot of exciting things coming up as well, which I'm going to talk about in a different live event. So please do that. Please do like our Facebook page, and please also, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. So that simulation is finished, and I'm just jumping into those results. Let's see what it brings up. Acclam Express is at the top. Rebel Dawn is in the middle. That's agreeing with us. Let's come over now to the market. Let's see what the market is saying. And the market is putting Winter Power at the top. Acclam Express, second favorite. I'm going to go for Acclam Express in this race. I'm going to see what I can get in terms of an 80-20. So 1.56 for 3 places. If I'll drop that in there, 1.56 odds for 3 places seems to me to be very, very low for odds of, I think it was nearly 4-1 in the win market. That doesn't seem to be a particularly great bet, but there's 3 places there. We can make a profit on it. If the horse wins, we'd walk away with about a £5 profit, around about a 20% return on investment. 20% return on investment is still pretty good in the 4-place market. If we were to do an 80-20 bet in the 4-place market, we'd walk away with about a £6. Well, we walk away break even in the 4-place market effectively if the horse didn't win. If we come without the favourite, Acclam Express is only odds of 2.24. I don't think that's high enough to be betting on either. So for me, Acclam Express, if we did an each way bet in the standard market as well, you can just see here, if we did an each way, we would only make, we only get £18 of our stake back if the horse was to place. That's not worthwhile for me either. So I think I'm going to go for the 3-place market, an 80-20 bet on Acclam. That would be £20 in the place market to a £25 stake, meaning I'd walk away if the horse comes in the top 3 with about a £5 profit, but hoping for that horse to come in to be able to take that win. And in the win market, it's sitting at 4.2. So if the horse comes in for the win, we're going to walk away with about a 100% return on investment. But if it doesn't, still going to get a 20% return on investment, which is pretty good going. So that's the final race of the day. I'm just going to jump over. If there's been any questions, please do drop them in now. I'm going to answer any there. Thank you so much for staying with me today. Apologies that I ran over again, but thank you very much for staying with me. It's been wonderful to have you here today. I'll be doing it again tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'm going to see if the weather's nice tomorrow. I'm going to see if we can do this from outside tomorrow. Don't forget to keep an eye out next week on emails. There's going to be I'm going to be talking about the 60-minute like real racing challenge on the Race Advisor, one of these cups. Currently there is not a single person in the world that has one of these cups. So I'm going to talk about how you can win that cup. What you need to do is totally free. It's just a competition. It's going to help us all improve our betting, push us forward, get more horse racing success. It's only a 60-minute challenge. It's very, very quick. I'm going to tell you more about that next week. So please keep an eye out for that. And if you can make it tomorrow, 11 a.m., I'll be sending an email out with the links as well, just kind of 10 minutes before, as normal, before we go. You can watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on Facebook, whichever platform you prefer. We'll be here at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning to go through day 4 of Goodwood. The second to last day of Goodwood will be here tomorrow morning. Thank you very, very much indeed for your racing. If you've got any for your comments, thank you for joining in the chat. It's been absolutely fabulous. My name's Michael Wilding. This has been with the Race Advisor. Thank you for being a part of our community. The Race Advisor is like your horse racing family. We are here to be your family, to enjoy the sport that you love with you, and also to push you towards that horse racing success that you want as well. So I hope you've seen some of the insight into the analysis today, some of the ways that I use our tools to actually find those selections and predict who's going to win the race. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me and with everybody else today. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Enjoy the racing. I will see you tomorrow, and thank you for coming. Take care. Stay safe.